Stratos are any good. Accepted wisdom is that these STRs are actually better than the real thing to drive on the road. In this video, I'm going to find out the truth about that. I'll also explain the differences between this and an original Stratos and tell you how much it would cost you to get into one of these. As part of that, we'll also go into the Stratos story, and I'm going to reveal why Fiat made the baffling decision of pensioning off this unbeatable rally monster just when it was at the peak of its abilities. By the late 60s, the Fulvia was getting old and Lancia needed a new rally car. At the same time, Bertone was keen to develop a relationship with a company that had traditionally used their competitors, Pininfarina. To get their attention, he created the Stratos Zero, a wedge-shaped thing, so radical it's still shocking today. To me, that is still the most influential concept car ever made. Bertone himself famously drove the Zero under the security barrier at Lancia's factory to show it off. The guards couldn't believe what they were seeing. This did the trick, and Lancia agreed to build a rally car based on a design by Marcello Gandini, who at this point had already done the Miura and was halfway through designing the Countach. The Stratos used the 2.4 litre Ferrari Dino V6 producing 190 horsepower, but the prototypes had to make do with Fulvia and Beta engines. This is because initially Enzo was reluctant to supply engines to a project that he saw as a rival to the Dino. It's only when Dino production ended that he finally agreed to supply the engines. This car uses Alfa Romeo's legendary 2.5 litre Busso V6, which coincidentally puts out 190 horsepower, the same as the original. You could go for the 3 litre or the 3.2 litre versions with more power. But Adrian, who owns this car, chose to go with this because it was more in keeping with the original's character and power delivery. Under the skin, the chassis was a semi-monocoque space frame with a very short wheelbase and an integrated roll cage. Partially rose-jointed suspension was double wishbone at the front and struts at the rear. The STR uses a similar layout but updated to work better with modern tyres. The space frame chassis is stiffer and better put together than anything that would have left the factory back in the 70s. Getting in and out is still a bit of a performance, but this one has the added benefit that the bulkhead has been moved 4 inches further back, meaning you no longer have to be an Italian jockey to fit in it properly. The first Stratos made used 14-inch magnesium Campagnolo wheels with Pirelli Cinturato tyres. This one has 17-inch at the back, 16 at the front with Toyo R888s, and like the original cars, the brakes are unservoed for pure, unadulterated feel. Officially, this is where I'm supposed to tell you about the fiberglass bodywork and the 900 kilogram curb weight, but in reality, as it's just another chance to admire that incredible shape. To me, this is one of the best profiles on any car ever made. Under team boss Cesare Fiorio, the Stratos won the World Rally Championship in 74, 75 and 76. It would undoubtedly have gone on to win more if it wasn't for Fiat's internal politics, which meant that they changed their backing from this to the 131 Abarth, thus ending the reign of the Stratos while it was still unbeatable. Production ended in 1975 when it's thought that 496 of these had been built. So in theory, the STR keeps the mid-engine balance and the raw drama of the original Stratos, while bringing in some modern refinements to make it more usable. Let's find out if that's true, and I'll also tell you what you'd have to pay to get into one of these. Now, Adrian has chosen to go for a 4-point belt, I think for authenticity, but I have to say I always find these things on road cars to be a bit more of a pain than they're worth, unless you're tracking cars and so on. They don't make that much sense to me. Okay, now let's get it started up. Now, I haven't driven an original car, but I know that they are very, very difficult to drive in terms of the position, especially for taller people like me. And I have to say that this is absolutely spot on. Pedals a tiny bit offset to the right, but nothing that would really bother you. The steering wheel is right in front of you, high up, really close to you, exactly as you'd want. And, you know, that's the sort of real rally driving position. It's an unexpected relief to find that the gearbox is actually quite pleasant to use. It has cable drive all the way to the back of the engine, so I thought it would be a little bit tricky, but actually it's got a really nice sweet shift to it. It's quite short of travel, quite light. It's really rather good. The only thing sometimes a bit tricky is it's a 6-speed gearbox straight from the 156, and between third gear and 6th, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to distinguish between the two. Undoubtedly, you'd get used to it over time. At these speeds, it's reasonably civilized. What you do notice straight away is that it's pretty stiff. Now, I'm not sure how much of an impact the bigger wheels with the Toyo R888s have, but I suspect it's substantial. Not only are those wheels bigger, but also they're running track tyres essentially, so they have quite stiff shoulders. Also, the engine is really quite present. It never ceases to baffle me that in almost every car I've driven, every Busso powered car, this engine feels and sounds different. And I think in this, it's where it's absolutely almost unrecognizable. That beeping is from the indicator. Let's just take it through the gears and then I'll tell you more. Hear it in the video as well, but that doesn't sound like any other Busso I've ever been in. It's a standard engine. Adrian himself fully rebuilt it and it uses a standard ECU. Of course, the exhaust is different, but I think that what really changes things is firstly that this car is so light. And then most fundamental of all is that it's pretty much solid mounted, and so you can really get the mechanical guts that you don't normally feel. When you drive a Busso in a normal Alpha, it's quite far away of you at the front of the car. So the noise suppression is there, and you might hear some intake, you might hear some exhaust sound, but here I can feel the metal gubbins, the insides of it working as well, and it makes it feel like a much more radical power plant than it is in other Alphas. To be honest, I think that suits the character perfectly, because that's exactly what you want. Some Alphas I've driven, they almost feel a little bit too sanitized and too smooth. This does carry on that smoothness, and you can hear what an incredible spine-tingling sound it makes going up to 7,000 RPM, which is the red line. Being the 2.5, I suppose it's lacking a little bit of torque compared to the bigger engines, but because this is so light, it's not something that you would notice. The other thing that's going to literally just punch you in the face is the steering on this. I mean, there's some setups that give you feel, but this just takes it to another level. The way it loads up mid-corner as well, it's flooding you with information. It must be up there in terms of feel with almost any other car that I've ever driven. Now, unfortunately, we're coming up to the S's just as we've got to some traffic, so I won't be able to take this with any verve, but we'll do that on the way back. In the meantime, let me tell you a little bit more about this interior. It's obviously not identical to the Stratos interior, but the basic structure is the same. The instruments are made to look quite similar as well. So the dash came pre-trimmed and it all looks great. I think that Adrian did an incredible job building this car. I also just love these door pockets with the really large area at the side there, which is supposed to be for a helmet, although to be honest, they don't really fit modern helmets. They're too big for that. Now, another thing is visibility at the back is, as you can imagine, absolutely abysmal, but it's a rally car. You didn't need to see out the back of it. One thing which is I find a little bit odd, but I'm getting used to, is the throttle pedal travel is really quite long. That's because it uses the potentiometer, I think it's called, from the 156. The brakes are phenomenal, but at first they shock you because they're totally unassisted and they require a very, very firm shove. Once you get used to it, they're powerful, they talk to you, really easy to sort of mete out exactly how much stopping power you want to get down. So they're just awesome, but they take some getting used to, like the rest of the car. It also tramlines a little bit. I mean, it's got such wide tyres, 275s at the back, I think 235s at the front. And on roads like this one, which is not the best, it will tend to follow cambers and dart around. But like most cars that do that, if you just relax with it and don't try and correct it all the time, it seems to work a lot better. If you can constantly try and straighten it out, it's not great. Thankfully, when you speed up, the suspension seems to iron out a little bit. So it uses nitron dampers, adjustable front and rear. So it's a good setup that it has. Curious to see what it feels like on these more flowing sweepers here. Are so reassuring. I love them. I love the whole car. It's wonderful. Road's a little bit greasy today. Now, I'm aware that being such short wheelbase, the original Stratos has a real reputation as a bit of a, as a bit of a killer, really. And this was purposefully designed to work differently. So the suspension, the geometry and so on, it has a lower roll center. Rally cars, by their nature, they're designed to go through corners sideways. So this has a little bit more of a road car feel. In particular, this Group 4 type car, so it has the wider rear with the bigger tyres, makes it even more stable. I do wonder though, if for the road, the Stradale-based cars with the narrow rear tyres might make a better case for themselves. I understand why you'd want to go with a bigger wheel and tyre combination because it looks absolutely incredible. But I'm always a fan of narrower wheel and tyre combos for the road. They always seem to work a little bit better. Now I can't say for sure because I haven't tried one. It might make it tramline a little bit less, although I think it's mainly the front tyres that are doing that, and it would be the same. It would be sort of 16-inch wheels all round with 235s rather than the 275s at the back. Now, I'm not disparaging this because it still is incredible as a driving machine. But just wonder, maybe more agility, a bit more feedback, a bit more interaction might be possible with the square tyre setup, because it wouldn't be as safe feeling as this would. Now, I'm glad I took it out already for a half-hour run before I did the filming, because it's not the kind of car you can just jump into and drive off. You do need a bit of time to acclimatise to it. Both the way that the steering is, sort of moves around in your hands, the brakes require such a firm shove, the driving position, the fact that you can't see out of the back. But once you get in sync with all that, it's actually a surprisingly friendly car. Let's say that you are interested in getting one. Now, originally these were available from Listabel as kits which you built up gradually. I spoke to Craig and Lydia last night to find out what the situation is, how much everything costs, and the kits are no longer made. They only supply turnkey cars. This goes back to the days of COVID when supplies became unreliable and they could no longer guarantee they could get the various packages out on time, so they decided to just stick to making the cars themselves. If you want a finished turnkey car professionally made from them, the price is going to be around £150,000. Even if you do decide to go for that though, it's not going to be easy because they have a waiting list of 5 years. I guess that one option would be to buy an original. Problem with that is they're £500,000 and they do not make great cars on the road. Luckily, Adrian, who built this car, is looking at selling it. Unfortunately, his circumstances have changed. You can see that this was going to be a keeper. He really designed it for him. He's taller than me. He had the bulkhead moved back, but this uses the standard length chassis, not the Le Mans, which I don't like the look of as much. So anyway, yeah, it was built for him. It's only a change of circumstances that means that he's thinking about selling. And it's just heartbreaking, really, because he's done such a good job of it. And it's only got 3,200 miles on it. So if you're thinking of getting one of these, I think this, to me, seems like a great example. Wonderful. You've got some real intake bark coming from the back of it, and because it's so close to your ears, it's just an absolute symphony of sound. So how to sum it up? Well, it's an absolutely incredibly intoxicating car. There's a few things that baffled me a little bit at the beginning: the long travel throttle, the very heavy brake pedal, but I've completely gotten used to them, and I absolutely love this thing now. I do still wonder whether I personally might prefer one of the narrow-bodied cars, the Stratos, with the square tyre setup. Not sure about that. I'm sure it would lend it a little bit more agility, but it's not a complaint, because this is one of those cars that is absolutely fabulous to drive as it is. If you're thinking about getting one, I'd really encourage you to have a look at this. You're not going to get another opportunity like this car in a hurry. Now, a huge thanks to Adrian for coming down and bringing me this car to test today. I think you can tell that I really do love it. If you enjoyed this video, I think you will really like the one that I did on the 131 Bath. Click here. Thank you so much for watching, and really look forward to seeing you for the next video.